So you can wave hi.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to my home this evening to watch my presentation. I genuinely appreciate your time and taking out of your busy lives. So I thought before we go into the presentation, I would tell you a little bit about me. I'm JeanSmith. Thank you again for coming. So my background is basically being an author and a speaker. I have written for the Detroit News, the Good Life blog for several years. I also have some articles published in magazines such as Farmers Market Today, Countryside, Small Stock and Journal. I also co-authored a cookbook called Lovingly Seasoned Eats and Treats. I have written for several online gardening blogs and have 2 personal blogs of my own. Currently, I am the event manager for downtown Dearborn, which I oversee about 25 events in the city. And one of those events happens to be the Dearborn Farmers Market. I love my farmers markets. I also manage the farmers market in Sterling Heights, which is Dodge Park. My most accomplished goals or feats in life is being a mother of 6, which I'm just thrilled to be. And then recently, I am a new grandmother to 3 wonderful, bouncing little baby boys. But, however, the reason you are all here this evening to watch this presentation is the final thing I'm currently working at is my bachelor's degree in liberal arts at Siena Heights University. So this program tonight is part of a presentation, as part of one of my requirements. So tonight's topic is going to be on persuasive and informative presentations and the differences and what each one entails. And as the wonderful author Shakespeare had put, to persuade or to inform, that is the question. So first, let's think about persuasive speeches and presentations. The primary purpose is to advocate some type of change in your attitude, your belief and value systems, or your behaviors. So when you decide you are going to prepare a persuasive presentation or speech, you have to first decide, what is my topic going to be? Once you decide on that topic, then you need to decide, am I going to attempt to change my audience's attitudes, behaviors, or beliefs? So some examples of those would be, for an attitude, for instance, would be, I want to convince you to stop gardening conventionally with harsh chemicals and to start gardening organically. A behavior could be, you want to start working out, you want to get healthy and fit. So I would want to persuade you to either start taking some type of fitness class, yoga, and rather than stop working out and not doing anything for your health. A change in belief could be a religious, attitude. It's like, I would maybe want to switch, convince you to switch to my religion versus what you currently believe. So those are the basics of a persuasive speech. Once you have decided on what your topic is going to be and how you want to persuade your audience, you need to come up with a thesis statement, which is easier said than done. I generally want to have a broad array of items and thoughts, and I usually have to rein myself in to get more detailed and more specific. So when you are trying to put together your thesis statement, what I would recommend is, coming up with 4 or 5 general statements of what you're trying to convince or change your audience's behavior. So we're going to look at the issue of, should all kids get trophies and medals just because they participate? So I want to convince my audience that no, we don't. Children should get an award or a medal for working and earning that championship. So the thesis statement for that would be, trophies distributed to all participants on a team has created a generation of children who feel entitled. This would tend to lean towards our millennial groups. However, once you have created your thesis statement, you need to be able to prove. You have to show your audience why this is factual. So a persuasive presentation, I'm trying to persuade you to believe what I'm telling you. And by doing that, there's 4 elements that I need to change your mind with. The first is, you're identifying a problem or an issue. The second is, I need to show you where I gathered my information, explain the results of that information, and finally come to a conclusion. No matter what type of presentation you are giving, whether it's a persuasive, informative, or any other type, you always need to provide a reference section for your audience. This allows them to go back and see where you gathered your data. So identifying the problem, the thesis statement is where you go back to. The problem is we have a generation of people that feel entitled. The information that you've gathered is through peer-reviewed journals, different types of literatures that have research studies and research findings in them, news articles. You wouldn't want to look at sources like Wikipedia or anything that doesn't have real data, scientific data. Then explaining the results. So a sample of that would be in one of the studies that I found during the information. A study that I found showed that millennials will not hold a job more than for 2 years because they feel like they deserve more vacation time. They deserve a better boss. So those would be the results of your information gathered. Finally, in the conclusion, you pull all of those facts together. And at that point, this is where you have the last opportunity to persuade your audience. This is the key. This is where you have to make them understand that what you're saying is factual. And finally, again, your reference section.